listening to that song, watching how rap music then now changed. You know, you said your favorite rapper is Jay-Z.
GOAT.
And you know, and you
GOAT.
say, I don't know about the GOAT, but
It ain't even close. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
I don't know about that. There's some people I think could challenge that guy.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
I think LL is pretty tight.
Ask him what happened when they were stepping outside the club and they battle rap. He learned his place then. He termed the phrase GOAT, and Jay-Z said his mind's not.
Yeah. We have our Jay-Z and GOAT. I think Jay-Z is one of the top by all time, but I don't know about the GOAT.
How many more #1 records do you want?
A few more.
I mean, the man's success and the pedigree, like at the end of the day, he reached a different plateau and at tables that you never envisioned a man without no high school diploma to be at. Making out of Marcy Projects to not just owning and becoming a pioneer and a gatekeeper for hip hop. Come on, man. To being a billionaire, to making Kanye a billionaire. Rihanna a billionaire. They was all working with him. Like opening doors when people that were in the hip hop game that's been incarcerated or got detained and got in some stuff, Jay-Z sent lawyers and got them taken out. When 21 Savage was stuck overseas, Jay-Z said get him home. When they was talking about the NFL back and forth, Jay-Z said, well, we're going to make the halftime show our culture now. He just dropped this past Super Bowl, and he had a concert for you.
That's correct.
Council President Blaine Griffin called me like, I had a good night last night. This was my era at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And not to mention, he married to one of the most beautiful girls.
I was thinking that. Why you said that? You
with a good family.
You know what? I'm going to surrender that to you today. Label. I mean, the brother has
a lot of millionaires.
And helped a lot of people along the way. And just a genuine good brother. You can't never say anything bad about him, man. He has never been tied up in anything that you can say that's even been close to anything crazy. So no, I think he gets the work in.
But no discredit to LL. I like LL. Yeah. You know, he did some amazing things too. He been out here and he done dropped some bangers as far as this, and so
he dropped some discs and did a lot of good records and movies and he's rolling as well. So like I said, he's that era. I'm from the older era, and I'm still trying to hold on to our brothers. But
but we love him. Well, you can't be playing the cops on every show now. We got to get them together, man. He can't get them together, man. I listen to his lyrics now.
Right. He said you got to keep playing the cop and everything.
I'm from that J era, man. We stand on stuff like, yo, man, come on now, right. Todd. Let's go, Todd.
Oh, there you go, Todd. There you go. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Kenn Dowell, and today we're going to continue our conversation on Brother Can We Talk. Brother Can We Talk is our conversation that we are having with a few African-American brothers and people I know around the community to talk about different topics that are affecting the African-American community and especially African-American males. And today I have the gentleman who's going to help us round out our series, and that's none other than Councilman Richard Starr. He's one of the youngest council members of council. He says, I think Rebecca Morrow got him beat by a few months or so, but he's definitely the youngest male and African-American male we have on city council. And he's going to talk to us today about this young black youth. We're having this big disconnect between them, and we need to figure that all out. So everybody, welcome to the show, Councilman Richard Starr.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. I'm just honored to be here and thrilled to be able to come on here and just have a good conversation. Like you said, brother, can we talk?
Oh, yeah, brother. I want to talk to you because I find you interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. I watch city council meetings all the time, and that's what I do. I've noticed when I was watching one of the committee meetings, and you guys were talking about the recreation centers, and you were talking about the programming in the recreation centers. And how recreation centers just basically haven't really changed. I mean, hell, man, it's the same programs it was when I was a kid. Yes. And I'm 54 years old. Trying to get kids to come in there and doing the same old stuff is just not working. And part of it is the city's issue, and part of it is the community that's changed, and people change. Sports are not the same. When I grew up, baseball was pretty big in the communities. Yes. And in fact, when I grew up, the city used to provide you with baseballs, used to provide you with uniforms, used to provide you with all the equipment you needed. And if you wanted to start a team when I was growing up, all you had to do was register, go to City Hall, and they would give you all of that stuff. You could just walk right out of City Hall with everything you needed to go in your community and start a baseball team. And we did that several years. So I know that exists and that don't happen anymore. So before I get into all of that, everybody want to know, because you're the new kid on the block, where you come from, where you grew up at, and give us your background.
My background is no different than the next guy that's coming up from the inner city of Cleveland. Born and raised in Ward 5 in King Kennedy Public Housing Estates. Born to my mom, Simone. She raised 6 children. I'm the second oldest baby. Graduated from George Washington Carver Central Middle School, went on to East Technical High School, came out in 2007. Later on, went on to Baldwin Wallace. Before I got to BW, I started working at Boys and Girls Club around 2008. And then from various roles until I eventually became a director at the King Kennedy Boys and Girls Club, the same club I grew up in. But most importantly, I also had the opportunity to work in different neighborhoods through Boys and Girls Club. So I kind of try to tell myself that I'm one of them younger leaders, but I've been on the front line since as early as 2006. But for record, it'd be 2008 when I was starting to do organizing and community activities and just being an activist and understanding that if you want to see change, you have to be the change. And that's something I live by, meaning don't go with the flow, be the flow. And that's just how my style and my leadership. But I went to BW, got my bachelor's degree as well as my master's degree in business administration from Baldwin Wallace University. Growing up in the projects, everyone think of one angle to do things or think of negative stuff, but I want to tell everyone I'm born and raised from the projects of King Kennedy in Cleveland, Ohio, but also been working to be able to deliver on things that I believe in. And if you believe in something, you should always stand on it.
So let's get into that. So you grew up in King Kennedy, was just you and your mom?
See, 6 children, 4 boys, 2 girls. My mom had 4 baby fathers, so my father was in and out of prison much of my childhood. Until he eventually came home around 2018, and he's been home now for about 4 years. We've finally established a relationship and rapport.
So you guys had a kind of rocky relationship growing up a little bit?
I mean, you've been in and out of prison, 2 years, 4 years, 8.5, 4, and I think another 4.
So what was his issue?
Addiction. What I mean by addiction is not necessarily drug aspect, but the fact that he loved money.
Hustling addiction. That's an addiction.
That's an addiction. That's a real addiction.
That's a real addiction, yeah.
But the thing is, it took for me to become an adult to understand through my lived experience and working with youth and working in the community through my past or my relations and years of 14 and a half years working with the Boys and Girls Club, I learned that you can't base everything off what you know and give and hold people accountable based on what you know. Sometimes you got to take yourself from out of your own shoes and put yourself in someone else's shoes to understand their logic, their thinking, their processes. My dad lost his mom when he was around 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
My grandfather was alcoholic, but he was functional. You know, went to work and come home, gonna get drunk.
I totally understand.
Yeah,
right.
But he gonna get a check, get what he need.
Right.
That's it. So when my grandma passed away, and my dad was a teenager, around that early teenage year, he has about 8 other siblings. Correct. And he's the second youngest. So mom gone, dad doing what he do, who's gonna raise me? Right. Him and his 2 sisters became real close, and then they had an older sister that wanted to be there and do the best that she can. And you know how it is as a young sibling. It's hard. It's hard to listen to your older sibling who's guiding you in the correct way because you're my sibling. I'm not thinking about your age, and I'm thinking about you're my sibling. And I think it was a struggle for my dad, and he eventually got into the streets, and he ended up going to federal prison for multiple bids. You know, back and forth. He did a state bid, then he did all federal. Like one of the things he tell me now that we discuss, he says, is the judge let him know, don't you come see me again, Mr. Starr. Richard, don't you come back down here. If I see you again, you'll never see the day of light out again. So I'm just honored and thrilled that he's found his path. He's definitely into cooking. He can really cook.
That's great.
And he's just trying to do right by his grandchildren and his kids. And understanding from my standpoint, I can't harp on the time lost. I got to cherish the moments here because you never know how we losing people and how people are leaving this world and leaving our city and just things like that. So it's like I can't be mad at when he wasn't there. I just appreciate the time that he is here and developing a strong relationship that we've working on continuously.
So let me ask you this then, as it relates to you growing up and in King Kennedy and all of that, your high school and middle school and all
I was
that.
outside.
You was outside.
I know. I wasn't one of those ones. You like, oh, you grew up in the neighborhood. Your mama just told you to be. No, it was none of that. You got a neighborhood where the environment could swallow you up if you ain't tough enough.
Okay.
And what that means is if you're not willing to stand on your beliefs, you get lost and swallowed and become a follower and just start doing things that you should necessarily do. So growing up, I had a name, Cocky Rich, and things like that from having good ability to fight and play football and lead in that way. And it's like, hey, I don't want to be remembered as that. You know, I got a 3.7 GPA, but I'm getting 10 days for a fight. That didn't have nothing necessarily to do with me. But it's more so it's like I'm down for my brothers and my homies from my neighborhood that I grew up with and got it out the mud with. So when it's time to ride, you're going to ride with your homies. So I had to separate that.
So how was you able to maneuver through that?
What helped me is when you're dealing with that motto of what happens in the house stays in the house, that comes real on you. My mom was in domestic violence relationships. She actually got married and was in a domestic violence relationship. And I recall nights that I'll be in the room helping her fight. Like, oh no, we gonna work today about my mama. To understanding that I want it better. You know, I have 5 other siblings. I have a younger brother who's a year younger than me that been in prison since 2008 for murder. So when you look at what I wanted, I know I wanted something different than what I was currently in. And luckily, we had a safe haven in my neighborhood, which was the Boys and Girls Club in Kenn Kennedy. We called it the center growing up. And I remember at around 8 years old, I started to attend the center. And what I wanted to do at the center was be able to play basketball. The gym attracted me, but then I walked into that place and I found mentorship and love, the extra love I need. My mom, a single parent, so she got to work and she got to nurture and she got to
Protect herself.
She has to do everything on her own while raising 6 bad kids.
In the project.
In the projects. Not just someone that says it's a project. No, we in Kenn Kennedy. And if you know Kenn Kennedy, it ain't for the weak.
No, it ain't.
It will swallow you up if you let it. So it's a choice and a decision you have to make for myself. Like, man, I ain't trying to go to prison. I could be out here on the block and be cocky rich all I want, but where is that going to get me as I get older? So I had to make a choice and decision through the mentorship and the guidance on do's or don't. I remember my coaches, Howard Little, Coach Mike Powers.
Oh, we know Little.
Yeah.
Coach Little.
Coach Little, Coach Little, Juice.
Yeah, Juice. Yeah, man,
Juice. Juice ain't having that.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by that is just the demographics. Juice is older than me by like 8-9 years.
You know, he was Anthony's coach. My son's coach.
Yeah,
that's where we know him from.
I know him as Coach Juice, and I know him as the Juice from the neighborhood, from the streets. He has a wonderful story as well from him growing up in Longwood in a 2-parent household, but had multiple siblings. Then you look up, he has a master's degree.
Right.
Football coach,
right?
Social worker for over 20 years.
Yeah, he's a real good dude.
So, you know, for him to be able to say, I could get a master's degree to coming out of the project from Akron University, Oberlin, playing football, and all these different things that he did, he said, no, it's doable. Now, as he mentors me, he guided me and told me what you need to do. By his actions, not just his words.
Sounds like the Boys and Girls Club did a whole lot to help you save your life, to sort of help get you going, man. I'm just glad to hear all of that because when I first heard about you were running against Phyllis Cleveland, and at that point in time, I was in a different position and stuff, but they were saying, oh, the kid is over at the Boys and Girls Club, and people kind of played it off as if you was just this guy who got a job and was over there. But I know it's more to you than that. We're going to still try to unpack some more of that. So mention about the Old State. It probably saved your life there, too, because Old State, brother, they get it in down there. They call that the party college down there, boy. Ooh, you was on your way.
I was on my way. Like, when I got that scholarship, I'm like, oh, yeah, I might need to go. Then I'm going to walk on for football. Miss Soder Pops, he said, hey, look, man, you 5'5". What you think you about to do? Like that realness. Right. Sometimes our kids may just do it because everyone telling them to do it, but everybody can tell you how to do it, but they never did it.
They never did it, right?
So why am I taking advice from people who never did it?
Exactly.
So I need that advice for someone that don't look like me. Here's a gym right here. I was 17, maybe just turned 18, and I gave Ron Soder my phone number. He said, all right, I'm going to call you. You want to connect? Let's do lunch. Let's work on your speech for the youth of the year. Make sure you're good. He called me, I didn't answer. So he left a voicemail, and on the voicemail, I had the Jay-Z explicit lyric. You know, the voicemail where you like, yo, you reached the voicemail, Rich. Sorry you didn't get at me. But the music, this man chewed me out. Like, this gotta be the most stupidest thing I ever heard. Who would have this type of music playing in the background on a voicemail? You could have people calling you about job opportunity. You got people calling you about scholarship, funding, and all this stuff. Who would do such a thing? It's like, man, who the heck you talking to?
Right.
I pick up the phone, finally got myself together, call him back. I said, hello? He said, hello. I said, hey, he gave me the same paraphrase of the voicemail to my ear. And you know what I did?
What's that?
I ain't put no music on my voicemail since.
Exactly. Best advice.
The best advice, but the accountability. Not only did he left it on voicemail and said, I hope you heard it. No, when I hear you, I'm going to talk to you again.
Right.
And that right there, I said, oh, that's a win in my book because you're not going with the flow. You be in the flow. And that's the way we have to be as leaders. Can't expect me to know based off what he knew. He knows you don't need that on your voicemail. I was just an 18-year-old, 17 kid.
That's what
I'm
they
just living.
Right. Hell, I even did it.
Yeah.
I mean, when the voicemail came out, everybody couldn't wait. When you knew you could put music on your voicemail, I mean, everybody.
And you could record it and press.
Yeah, man.
Come on now.
You know, everybody had that craziness going on.
Got your heads, nothing but the heads.
That's it, man. And as you get older, you learn that maybe not so much, you know, and depending on what you're doing. Yeah. Now, after you get the scholarship and you in there, might be something different. But while you're going through that process, you got to go through the process. Let me ask you, when you got to the Boys and Girls Club and you was working there, what was it like your first year? As now I went from the fact that this place is a place that actually raised me. Now I'm actually in here and can change some stuff. Give me an example of something that you really thought, you know, once I get in here, man, I'm changing this, and you knew that. Man, you can't do that because of whatever. Man. And then give me some of the stuff that you were able to change.
The thing that I thought about when I first became a director in 2014, I was almost 6 years in. I done worked at Broadway Boys and Girls Club, Mount Pleasant, West Side for 3.5 years. Thurgood, we was doing like a pilot program, intervention and prevention programming, outreach work. Then I went to Kenn Kennedy in 2014 in October, and it was one of those, they said, Brian coming home. So I was in my powder, like you said, you know, my boss called and said, hey, you know, you've been doing the last 9 months. I was at Mount Pleasant as an assistant director. He said, hey, we want to make you the club director at Kenn Kennedy effective Monday. I'm like, whoa. I got to do a pizza party. I got to talk to my families up here. I done got Charles Dickens. I'd have been in his school. I'd have been to A.J. Rickoff, recruiting. And you want me to leave right now? I'm just getting started. I'm only 9 months in. He said, no, we need you. We made some changes. And they cleaned house. And from the leadership standpoint, they cleaned house from the assistant club director and the team coordinator, which is the full-time staff of the club, to like, hey, we're going to pass it to this 25-year-old Richard Starr. And
they were hating.
Oh, it was real.
It was real.
Yeah, it was real because it was like, is he ready? What are you going to do? So the first thing I wanted to implement was the things that I wanted to always happen when I was a kid. Not just the great things that I knew, but some things I wish I had, meaning making sure I had mentors that called me all the time. So I instilled some of those in there. Making sure we renovate our club. So we end up getting almost $60,000 from Taco Bell to renovate the whole club.
So where is the Boys and Girls Club for Kenn Kennedy?
Right there, 59th and Woodland, 2561 East 59th Street, right behind the Carl B. Stokes building.
Really?
It's right behind the Carl B. Stokes building.
Okay.
And, you know, I looked there, I said, some of these supplies is the same table that I sat at as a child, and I'm 25, and like, yo, we can't have the same table 20 years ago, and we're implementing this in our kids. We still got kids that's coming here, but we need to upgrade our facilities and making sure we have the actual resources. Got a new pool table, got new floors, new ping pong tables, new paint job, new computers, and things like that was the initial start. Then we ended up getting a maker space in one of our rooms and redid it through some different grants that we received and wrote. But then also spreading out and branching out to saying, hey, we need something bigger, a bigger facility. So I helped champion the project to be able to bring a club into East Technical High School, my same high school I went to, us to have an after-school program and like the Boys and Girls Club for teenagers. Because in our space and the capacity we have, it was hard to have 150 people in this building when you don't have that much room. The club is only so big. And then it was a point that when I got there, the Boys and Girls Club was telling teens to come later on for teen night, but not come right after school. And, you know, that's when them loitering and the idle mind get to run there, and you don't have nowhere to go or things to do or no programs to participate in. You get into trouble. And then that's where Kenn Kennedy is waiting on you for.
On that point, in our experience, we lived in Cleveland Heights. They have a Boys and Girls Club, and it's right across the street from the high school. Yeah, Lee Road. Just like what you're saying on Lee Road, and it's only was $15 for a family to get your kids to go there. And during that time, my girls just didn't want to go there, but I thought it was cool because it saved us from if I was late trying to pick you up from school or whatnot, or you wanted to stay after, it was right across the street. They served lunch. They did everything that you needed there. And it was a really good program. It was a great program
Roscoe Morgan opened that club. He opened the club up because it's a need. So one of the things that Boys and Girls Club pride themselves on and their mission is going into areas that needs us the most. That right there says a lot about the organization. Go where the kids are needed, where the services are needed, and provide those services.
And give them something to do, like you say, that time between school. Because it was a lot of kids in it. Because when I went in, I'm like, whoa.
Everything going on.
Everything going on in here. And they was doing it. And you're right. If it wasn't there, these are just kids that's just out there.
I'm in the streets.
Out in the streets.
I'm in the streets, then what? Yeah. So it's like, as leaders, what is it?
Right.
If we know this is not working and we don't have no resources or we don't have no programs for our kids in our facilities, that's a problem.
That's a serious problem.
That's a serious problem. So as I went and got educated so I could educate my community, I learned about data. And I'm a data-driven person. Don't tell me that the program that you always said do great is always good, but when I come and do pop-ups and walk in, there's no kids. There's nobody participating. So it's like, you know, we got to be honest and be real with ourselves about the services that are currently happening in the city of Cleveland, but it's also got to be us to implement a plan to get those services in. So when I think about my childhood, or when I think about when I became a club director, or I think about the service or the projects or different arenas of services that I'm in, I think about what I wanted. What I needed, or I think about the kids that I've helped raise and mentor over the years. What do they want? You know, kids want shoes. You know, they need school clothes. You know, they need activities. They need some guidance. They need some structure. Think about it. Sometimes you may have a kid with you that you mentor more than they ever been with any of their parents. Just think about the Boys and Girls Club model. Get out of school, 2:30, get in the club by 3 o'clock. Club open at 2:30 to 7:30. So the club, so you in the club from 3 o'clock possibly to 7:30, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday 12 to 4. So I'm really spending almost 30 hours a week at the club.
And that's not the school time.
Not even talking.
You coming from school.
I'm coming straight there. I'm coming straight from school after hearing my teacher.
Right.
Doing whatever I did in school. Hopefully did my work.
Right.
To come into the Boys and Girls Club where I buzz in with a membership number. And then for my membership number, I could go in the game room, computer lab, and get help with my homework in the computer lab. So you have staff that can help you with your homework. Then they teaching you in a fun, engaged way because they're not teachers, but they help and guide you. But then I can play on this basketball team, football team, volleyball, kickball, soccer, baseball. Then I learn how to play pool, ping pong, 2K, and I get a hot meal. Why would I not be there? Take it a step further. We talk about education, and I believe education and crime is a correlation. We can't say we graduating a lot of our kids. 80+% of our students that enrolled in CMSD are graduating. But we had triple-digit homicides for the last 15 years.
Right.
And you got young folks just killing young folks that we starting to become numb to, and that's a big problem.
So that's why we were here to talk. You done broke your segue in, brother. I was giving you enough time to talk about yourself a little bit, so now we going to the hard subject. I'm 54. So I got kids and everything else. I understand a whole lot about what's going on, and I done watched the generations change. I like to brag on the fact that my generation created hip hop.
Ah, that's good.
And everything that goes with it, the good and the bad. You know, my generation was the dope man, all of that, and NWA. When I even listen to some of the lyrics now, I throw it in the car, be like, whoa, that used to be the cut. Then I'll be like, woo wee. Yeah. You actually made that song. Yeah. But out of that, listening to that song, watching how rap music then now changed, you know, you said your favorite rapper is Jay-Z.
GOAT.
And you know, and you say, I don't know about the GOAT, but
it ain't even close. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
I don't know about that. There's some people I think could challenge that guy.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
I think LL is pretty tight.
Ask him what happened when they stepped outside the club and they battle rap. He learned his place then. He termed the phrase GOAT, and Jay-Z said his mind's not.
We have our Jay-Z and GOAT. I think Jay-Z is one of the top by all time, but I don't know about the GOAT.
How many more #1 records do you want?
A few more.
I mean, the man's success and the pedigree, like at the end of the day, he reached a different plateau and at tables that you never envisioned a man without no high school diploma to be at. Making out of Marcy projects to not just owning and becoming a pioneer and a gatekeeper for hip hop. Come on, man. To being a billionaire, to being to making Kanye a billionaire, Rihanna a billionaire. They was all working with him. Like, opening doors when people that were in the hip-hop game that's been incarcerated or got detained and got in some stuff, Jay-Z sent lawyers and got them taken out. When 21 Savage was stuck overseas, Jay-Z said, get him home. When they was talking about the NFL back and forth, Jay-Z said, well, we're going to make the halftime show our culture now. He just dropped this past Super Bowl, and he had a concert for you.
That's correct.
Council President Blaine Griffin called me like, I had a good night last night. This was my era at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And not to mention, he married to one of the most beautiful girls.
I was thinking that. Why you saying that?
What a good family.
You know what? I'm going to surrender that to you today. Label. I mean, the brother has
a lot of millionaires.
And helped a lot of people along the way. And just a genuine good brother. You can't never say anything bad about him, man. He has never been tied up in anything that you can say that's even been close to anything crazy. So no, I think he gets the work in.
But no discredit to LL. I like LL. Yeah. He did some amazing things too. He been out here and he done dropped some bangers as far as this, and so
he dropped some disses and did a lot of good records and movies and he's rolling as well. So like I said, he's that era. I'm from the older era, and I'm still trying to hold on to our brothers.
But we love him. You can't be playing the cops on every show now. We got to get them together, man. He can't get them together, man. I listen to his lyrics now.
Right. He said you got to keep playing the cop and everything.
I'm from that J era, man. We stand on stuff like, yo, man, come on now, right. Todd. Let's go, Todd.
Oh, there you go, Todd. There you go. So let's talk about this new era, right? So I was saying our generation was that, drugs and everything, and I know that there was a generation that was a result of the drug era, of families that were totally disconnected. Yep. There was an era, I believe, where kids just basically kind of raised their own self, period. Where, like you say, mom and dad was in and out of drug rehab or jail or whatnot, and people kind of did what they had to do. And that family raised a group of kids of their own that tried to do the best they can. And I think that along that way, we kind of lost the sense of that belonging of family and mentoring and to be able to communicate with each other is just kind of gone. So it seemed like there's a big disconnect. I was talking to Pastor Phillips, and one of the things I asked him about with the young people was, are you scared of them? I said, as pastors and whatnot, it seems to me that the ministerial community would have an opportunity to try to approach and talk to some of the younger folks and try to be able to at least do like what you say, reach out to mentor and just have conversations. Some of them may just want to talk to and see if there's some way you can help them. And in doing that, he had mentioned to me that he wasn't afraid to approach them, but he was afraid of his approach. He was afraid that the way he would come at them, the way he will maybe talk will be miscued by them. They may not take it the right way. They may think he's coming at them dogmatic. So I want to talk to you today about the generation that we're dealing with right now in Cleveland and the mentality of the young African-American male. What do you first believe that the city could do more to help the African-American young male?
The things that the city can do to help the young African-American males is entirely bring the resources. We're dealing with a generation that had a gap. When things were going out and the crack epidemic hit, they locked all of our fathers up. They took all the males out the house. Now you have babies. So you look at me as 33 years old. So my father was in and out of prison. So we had to figure out a way to be raised by a single parent, a mom who has to do both roles. So what the city needs to do is do a whole analysis of everything. The way we trial African Americans as far as when they get into the system. But before they even get into the system, we need to be proactive. If we know that our kids are not getting skills or tools that's necessarily needed to be successful in life, why are we keep passing them on in school? Why do one school let out, we so quick to kick our kids out of the building so people go home? Why aren't our schools open longer? Why don't we have classes to teach our kids about trade and opportunities other than just saying college? Why don't we have actual programs and actual mentors? Why we only have in the city of Cleveland 3 outreach workers trying to do intervention prevention work that is on payroll for the city of Cleveland? Why do we have things in place that just hinders all the stuff? It's not hard. Look at the test scores. If our 3rd grade early primary literacy grades show that our kids are below average and they below test scores, why are we passing them on? Look at CMSD, 72% of our kids get passed on to the 4th grade after failing their early literacy
So you're
grades.
saying education ain't even working at all?
If you pass me along in 3rd grade, right, and I get past to the 4th grade, not being able to really read, write, or do math at the level that I need to be successful as far as to be ready for the next grade. So I went from the 3rd grade to 4th grade without needing those tools. My test scores ain't pretty that well in 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I still ain't get it yet. I still ain't picked it all the way up yet because the stuff that I was taught in primary education was different. No one's giving me that primary education. I'm behind. So we have a system in which our teachers are forced to teach for an exam as opposed to teaching for the skills that you need. So when I think about my own self, when I was in 1st grade, I struggled with reading. I had the little talk, my tongue, I was like, certain words I still get tongue twisted over today. But I remember my teachers, Ms. Robinson, coming into the classroom and making me read an hour a day, even though I wanted to do the Stone Cold Stunner and the DX though. I remember her making sure she held me accountable by making me read. I remember my 2nd grade teacher, Ms. McAdoo, putting it in that you are somebody, teaching me a poem and for me to recite. I am somebody, celebrate me. You want to love somebody, love me. You want to help somebody, help me. You know, things like that, affirmation and manifestation that I am successful. I remember being in the 4th grade when Mayor Michael White and Bernie Kosar and Ann Zoller made sure we had a new playground getting built at George Washington Carver. To me, being able to be the 4th grade person to welcome the mayor to the school and do the welcome for Bernie Kosar to wearing his ring. Instilling in me things that we needed, make us successful. But if our kids are getting passed on from 3rd grade to 4th grade and they're not at the grade level in terms to be successful as far as their education, they're going to get passed through the system. That's why they build jails off of 3rd grade, 4th grade test score. Because in 5 years that it takes for them to build that prison, by the 9th grade, I could drop out. We got kids that graduate in high school from Cleveland and they can't even read or write, meaning kids I've raised and mentored. That I'm like, I know you gave me a ticket to your graduation. I'm happy, but I'm sad, son, because you can't even do the basic math to do a job.
Exactly.
So how I'm going to connect you with these resources for a job, but your high school diploma would make you eligible, qualify for that job, to you not being able to maintain and keep that job, all because you just don't have the skill set. I don't have the basic math. I don't understand the basic levels that it takes to be in this factory or in this career. The biggest thing is we're going to hug all our babies that we know going to college.
Right.
We had graduation, shouting out all our babies that did great, top 10 this, top 15 this. But what about the other 85, 90 students that graduated and we know they ain't got no skills, no tools? Why all the tools and trades that is needed is all on the west side, but it ain't in our east side schools? Why don't we have a program that's going to take the stands to make sure our kids are at that grade level in all our primary? Why do we have K through 8 models for our kids? Do you know how it is to raise a 12-year-old right now? Do you know what 12-year-olds, them pre-teenagers need? Hormones going on, living in an environment where you see guys hustling in the streets and you got a choice to do it. Your dad probably not there, or you in a single-parent household, you seeing the struggle, but then as you know, you trying to raise your siblings and do everything with your siblings. You get to school, they talking about line up in a single file line. You're 14 years old. You have not even explored the things that you need. You can be ready and prepared for 9th grade. So then we ask our 9th grade educators to graduate them. So now they got to pass our kids along. So yeah, we push all of our kids out for 80% what? 80% what? They're not prepared for the world. I always believe this. The moment that your chief executive officer for education reports to the mayor, that is a sign of a horrible failing school district.
One more time, do that again.
The moment that your CEO for the school district has to report to the mayor, and not like a school board or anything like that, that is a number one sign of a failure.
So let's go to this one. I know this has been a hot topic that's been going around. I'm going to throw at you. I know one of the conversations that was going on is that they were going to be building a new police station.
Yes.
Over on the Opportunity Corridor in your ward.
Yes.
And you was totally against that. You didn't want that police station in your ward because you felt it didn't add any value to what was going on or to the residents in your ward. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Wow. When you think about, I believe we were about 5 weeks in, I was sworn into office and I get a invite to come have a discussion about the police headquarters. So now let me dive deep into asking this question. What benefits do we get from this beautiful facility here? You want this police rec center here on Opportunity Corridor when Opportunity Corridor is supposed to be zoned for opportunity for jobs in Ward 5. We're talking about a neighborhood who has been forgotten for decades and years, in which we talk about half of the poverty issues in the city of Cleveland is in one neighborhood. We're talking about how residents that live in central neighborhood, they have a median income on average of $12,000. But you're talking about we want to put a police headquarters over here, where instead of putting a factory or putting a job opportunity or putting some type of services to help the people, instead we want to just put a police headquarters.
Job training facility.
We ain't got no job training facility. So when you talk about the police headquarters, I told them at the table, don't worry, I ain't going for no police recreation center in Ward 5 just to satisfy your needs. If you're going to put a police headquarters there, it needs to be something that's going to help people. We don't need to say we got to dispatch the 3rd district all the way on Chester, or we got to reach out to the 4th district on Kinsman and something happening in the St. Hyacinth neighborhood.
I don't even understand how that even makes sense for them to put it there if they're not dispatching from there. That really makes no damn sense.
They were telling me that we don't do that. I'm like, wait, what you mean? So we can't get nothing. So we ain't got no community benefits. Yeah. Agreement.
All we get is a room?
A room. I said, so y'all want me to have meetings in this room every week for this room to get used. I said, do you know our people? They're like, what you talking about? I said, my cousins ain't having no baby shower at the police headquarters. like they not. We kick it in the parking lot.
Right.
They want to kick it in the parking lot and come and go and do whatever they got to do. They're not doing that at no police headquarters.
So let's talk about this then. Let's check this out. You got all these people that's going in and out these dollar stores and just grabbing shit and putting it all in baskets and running out the front door. These are young people because we too old to run. If we ran out the door, they'll catch us. So it ain't us. These are young folks. And then you got the guns and the situation that's on the street. Everything is so hot out here. Councilman, what do you think is going on? Why so many guns? Why so much violence, man? Everything is up on 11 these days, man. What you think is happening out there, man?
This is what's happening. I graduated with my high school diploma. I'm 18 years old. I tried to work at this job that Mr. Dowell hooked me up with. But man, I just can't do this. They want me to be there at 6 in the morning. Got to get up at 5. I'm getting off at 2:30. Just something ain't right. I can't process how they want me to do this machine. I can't get used to being on this computer, sitting at this desk. There's just certain things I just can't do. Or I'm not just equipped with doing hard labor because it's the first time I ever had to do hard labor. I knew when I grew up, when I was 12 years old, I had to go get a job. I was trying to work because I needed money. I wanted every pair of forces.
Right.
I wanted every pair of forces. So in order for me to get all the forces, I got to do my thing right? That ain't the same. So once I graduate, I'm 18, 19 years old, streets a little bit here and there trying to work. I get a girl pregnant. Now I got a baby on the way. I'm 20 years old now. Can't keep the job because I can't do the basic math or I can't comprehend some of the things they want me to do. I can't think on the go. I haven't built them skills yet. So I quit the job, but I got a baby on the way. Live with my mom. She want $150 a month for her rent. My girl and my baby always need something. So I'm probably pulling in at least $300 or $400 a month I need to for just my baby. And then I need to eat, me and my girl. So I need like almost $1,000 a month, right? At 19, 20 years old. Which is a part-time job if you break down the math.
Correct.
$12,000 a year, that's a part-time job. But I ain't got the tools to be work a job. So I get into the streets. Now I'm in the streets, hustling, doing whatever I have. Never been in the streets a day in my life, but now I'm a street guy.
Lots of them.
So now I'm doing all this dumb stuff without understanding no street code. And now we look up what's going on. I get caught with a gun the first time, nothing really happened. Get caught with another gun, nothing really happens. Get caught with another gun, they still don't do nothing. Then the 4th time I murder somebody, now they throw in the kitchen sink and want to bomb me over for an adult. But when you first caught me with that gun and I needed some help, you didn't put nothing in place. You don't got nothing to implement. You ain't even do an analysis to learn that my mom been raising me on her own since she was 14 years old. My father never been there. But now I just committed a murder. Now I'm the worst thing of everything. I'm the worst ever, but I had 4 gun cases. And we had 4 opportunities to do an analysis, put them in program, and give them schools instead. But furthermore, we passed them and got them out of high school with nothing. So I was downhill from there. The highest peak of my life. Think about our city sometimes. The highest moment of some of our families' lives be that high school graduation and prom.
That's correct. That's why they make such a big deal out of it.
That's why it calls red bottoms.
Yeah.
I need red bottoms. I need a helicopter. I need Lamborghini doors.
And they screaming and yelling. They going to do all of that because it's a big deal.
But think about if we have programs that we can implement in which our kids are coming out of high school with a trade. What about the trade shortage? Because the baby boomers retire.
Right.
Our baby boomers, we don't got no plumbers, electricians,
Right.
construction workers. What about those advanced technologies? You know, what is the YouTubers?
Yeah.
They pay you $60,000 you could YouTube starting off.
Right.
Think about what would happen if our family, if at 18, I could get into an apprentice program within a career that I decided when I applied for my YOU job. And through that YOU job, I'm starting to explore different careers. Think about the city services. Think about how many job openings we have for the city of Cleveland. And we like, man, why we ain't got young people cutting grass? Why we haven't came up with a solution like, yo, we have 5,000 youth apply for YOU jobs every summer, but we only got 1,300 slots. So what you want me to do? Y'all told me to apply for the job and I could get picked. I got a chance to get picked, but I don't get picked. What I'm gonna do? I gotta make money. I'm crying out for help for money. So I cry out through emotions. I cry out through actions. So yeah, I'm running in there taking stuff out of the Dollar Tree, Dollar General. You don't know I ain't got nothing in the house. It ain't nothing there for me. I don't even have the skills to do anything. That type of stuff is a reality in some of our communities.
So what you think we ought to do, Richard? I mean, I know that you're going to be working your hand because I see you down there working very hard at it. And the part that I like about you is that you do have a total understanding of that. And that's real. I mean, it's one thing for a lot of people to talk about it, but to understand it is one thing. Unless you've been through that kind of thing and you lived it, you'll never get to understand. So the legislation and the stuff that people try to write and the stuff, you guys, you just don't get it, man. And sometimes I listen to the people at the table and I listen to some of the elected officials and I'm like, you guys don't understand poor.
So they be at that table lining us.
Yeah, you guys don't know poor. The city is poor, and the residents that live in it are poor. Yes, we can identify certain people in the community that's doing okay, but the majority, I don't care if you live in Glenville or you live down there in King Kennedy, $24,000 a year is $24,000 a year, and it ain't enough.
That ain't enough.
And that's what's happening.
In 2017, when I ran for office in 2017, I lost the election. I did a whole analysis of my life, like, yo, where I'm at, let me do the assessment, let me see pros and cons. What did you do great? What did you do well? Why did you lose the campaign? Why did you lose the election? All those type of things. Then I had a reality moment when I sat there and said, you know, God said you ain't ready yet, boy. Richard, you got so much on your plate already. You're running multiple sites for the Boys and Girls Club. You're doing different roles in the Boys and Girls Club. You also got your community engagement part. You ain't even went to go finish school yet. That's something we should have been did. You've been out of school for 8.5 years. You dropped out with 3.5 years complete and dropped out off of my mom having some issues back at home. So therefore, in fall of 2018, I went back to school. And from 2018 to December of 2019, I went and finished my degree and got my bachelor's. And then after that, in 2020, January, I enrolled in our graduate program and went to get my MBA from BW. So it was one of those things that I would never did that if I didn't do the analysis and do the assessment. Don't get with like-minded person that, oh, you like to be in the streets with you. No, man. If you're the best basketball player in your rec center, you at the wrong rec center. If you ain't been to all these rec centers and became the king of all of them, you're in the wrong place. You good over there?
Right.
So you don't gotta welcome that competition. But you gotta also have that tough skin to face reality for yourself. And those type of things are important. Making sure I'm in the right concept or just reaching out to your core, understanding, look who you be around every day. Are they gonna be with you in 10 years? Or are they just there now? Are they gonna hold you accountable? Or are they gonna tell you, if they always agreeing with you, they definitely are in your circle.
Correct.
You're not around me to be a yes person. You're around me to hold me accountable.
That's correct.
And that's how we have to do. And we gotta come out of the norm. Like I said, I ain't going with the flow. I am the flow. And if I'm going to be the flow, this flow going to come hotter than Jay-Z on Hoes Did It. You know?
Oh, you doing it, man. And I'm going to tell you, I want to work with you, man. I want to do this commission. And you know what, man? Whatever we need to do to press the administration to get us a school on the east side that's a trade school.
We need trade.
We need trade. And this ain't nothing that Richard Starr is making up. It ain't nothing Kenn Dowell is making up. Everybody who lives in the city of Cleveland and everybody who's in the school system knows that we need trades in the schools.
Yeah. And on top of that, how we got a school called East Technical High School, but I don't see nothing technical.
Wow. That's really deep. Hey, Councilman, I want to thank you for coming on our show today, man. You did an excellent job. I want to thank you for coming to us on this Brother Can We Talk series, man. You ended it well with all, man, you gave us a whole lot of good fiery pops. So this would be great. So, Councilman, the camera's yours.
Well, for the camera, I just would like to say to those in the city of Cleveland, be on the lookout. September 14th, we will be hosting an expungement job fair over at Downtown Word Church. The flyer should be dropping early next week. There also is an opportunity for you to register before, or you could come that same day to get expungement. Just be mindful that me as a member of City Council, yes, I am going to continue to fight for the constituents for Ward 5, but also for those in the city of Cleveland. Is there ways that we need to work together? We should work together. There's no such thing as just the council themselves doing everything, but also understand if it's something you need to do, let's get something on paper. Don't just say, I call my council member and that's it. No, help your council member out as well, because sometimes you can get something better done if you're willing to roll up your sleeves as well. When you just try to throw something on somebody's plate over and over, make sure you do that right. And then the last thing, make sure you learn the little government, local government as well. Don't chew us all out about things that we don't have control over, rather it's city services, but then hug the mayor when you see him. Let them know the same thing as well, dog. You know I love you, Mayor Bibb. But let's get involved. That there's enough of these gun violence going on in our community. It's enough of us just hiding the fact that we know what's going on, but we don't want to speak up. We know who's out here doing all this killing, harming our neighborhood, destroying our neighborhood. Let's take back our streets together. But it can't not just be all leadership point. We need to lead the way all the way to the end as leaders, but also we need an army and we need a team of constituents and residents who says there enough is enough and we're going to take back our community. And I will stand with you. I will continue to advocate and fight for us, but we got some pieces of legislation that's going to drop, and I think it's going to help make the city better.
Councilman, we appreciate you being on there. Everybody, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and leave comments in our section so that we can ask questions to Councilman Starr. He's going to be on our panel discussion on the 21st. So if you have any questions that you want to ask the councilman, get it together because we're going to ask him then at that forum. So again, nice talking to you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.